Alright, before we start this video, I just want to shout out my stake pool. It's called PHNIX pool. The ticker and the pool ID are going to be in the description below if you're interested in joining. It's a new stake pool. I just created it a few days ago for when I'm making this video. Pretty much the reason why I'm making this video is when I was trying to make my stake pool, a lot of the videos were a little bit out of date. Things have changed a little bit from when they posted their videos, so I figured I'd create an updated guide. So yeah, a little bit about my pool. We're going to have a 0% margin until April, and then I'm planning to raise it to somewhere in between 1 and 2%. Also, right now, the pledge is at 5.24k ADA, but I'm planning to raise that to around 10k ADA within 2 weeks to a month. And I should continually be adding more to the pledge as time goes on. So yeah.
I also wanted to give you guys some resources that I use to learn how to start my own stake pool and how to just get general information about rewards, anything you might need to know, maintenance. Of course, all the links are going to be in the description. The first one is the Cardano documentation. It just tells you everything you need to know. It's kind of self-explanatory. And then there's also Eating Garden Pool. This is the most pledged pool, Cardano stake pool, and he has a bunch of videos showing how to create a node or create your own stake pool. Videos about security, how to monitor, how to update, all that. I just wanted to make this video because it's slightly outdated, so I figured I'd just make an updated version and I'll also include some of the security and other stuff that he has in his other videos. And then finally, the guild operators, CNTools documentation. This is where most of the commands we're going to use are going to be. You don't need to know everything. Like all these, like the wallet and the DB, sync tool, and the rest aren't exactly necessary to get started. So we'll go through everything you do need. So yeah, the first thing that you're going to need to do when creating your stake pool is choose how you want to host your server, host your nodes. There's a lot of options out there. You can use AWS, Google Cloud, DigitalOcean, host it on your own server. To start, if you guys just want to test it out, I recommend either Google Cloud or DigitalOcean. They both give you free credits just to start out. DigitalOcean offers you $100, and then Google Cloud offers $300 to new users. I'm using DigitalOcean because overall it's a little bit cheaper, or actually a lot cheaper than Google Cloud after the credits run out. So the first thing that you want to do is create a new project. I'm just going to name mine tutorial pool, then operational. I'm just going to create the project. Skip this for now. Alright, so when you're creating a droplet inside of your new project, you're going to need 3 droplets. I would recommend 3 droplets. 1 for the producer node, and then 2 relays. I think that's a good starting point. And the setup for all these are going to be pretty much the same. I would go with Ubuntu, Basic, the $20 per month. It meets all the minimum requirements for a node. And then choose a data center. I'm just going to use San Francisco because it's closest to me. And then for the authentication, I would use an SSH key because it's a lot more secure. And when your stake pool has your pledge wallet, your pledge, and all that stuff, the more secure it is, the better. And then if you don't know how to make one, there's instructions for Linux and Mac right there. And then if you're on Windows, you're going to use something called PuTTY. You could just click on this link and it'll give you a guide. But I already have an SSH key. And I'm going to use that. And then choose the host name. I'm going to show making a relay because you don't want to show your block producer IP address. The setup's a little bit different near the end, but when we get to the differences, I'll show you how to do that later. So I'm just going to name this SF because the data center region is in San Francisco, and then relay. And then just want to create the droplet and then wait for it to load. All right, now that the relay node has been set up, what you want to do is connect to it. I'm on Windows, so I'm using PuTTY. There, you could, if you're on Mac or Linux, you could probably look up how to connect to the server. There's probably a lot of options out there, but I'm on Windows. So pretty much what you want to do, first thing you want to do is copy this address right here, IP address, and paste. And then under data, you want to log in as root at first. And then you're going to want to paste your private key for authentication. I'm not going to show you where that is on my computer. But after that, you press open. And then I have a passphrase on my key. If you have one too, just enter it in. And now you're connected to the relay node as root. But you don't want to have root access or let other people have root access to this server. So what you want to do is create a non-root user. And to do that, you're going to want to do sudo add user, then just a random username. I'm going to do user. It's going to ask you for a password. Enter one in, type it, then some metadata. I'm just going to use the default for all of it. Is the information correct? Yes. And then you're going to want to give the user sudo permissions. Just do that. My console is going a little bit slow, but you're going to do sudo add user node sudo. Or user sudo. And then what you want to do is log on as that new users. And all these commands are going to be in a text file down below, so you could just copy and paste. So now we're connected as the user that we just created, and now we need to give this user the ability to log on using SSH. First thing you want to do is make a directory. Then go into it. And right now it's empty, but what you want to do is create a file called authorized keys. What you want to do here is just paste in the public key of your SSH. I'm not going to show you mine, so I'm going to cut and we'll be right back. Alright, now that we have that in there, you can check the authorized keys file is there. And now we need to test out signing into the console as this new user using SSH. So we're just gonna exit and go back into PuTTY. Copy this again. Paste. And this time, data for the auto login, you want to do the name that you chose, and then put the SSH key in there again. And then you want to open the session. All right, so first thing you want to do is just update Ubuntu. We're just going to wait for that. It shouldn't take too long. There we go. And then sudo apt-get upgrade. Yes. All right, and while we wait for that to finish up, I'm going to explain what we're going to do next. The next thing we need to do, just for some added security, is to change the SSH port. By default, it's 22, but it's better if you don't use the default because that's the first one that attackers are going to try. And if you don't have your SSH port as a default, they might just move on, go for someone that's an easier target. So I guess I'll cut right now and I'll be right back when this finishes upgrading. Alright, it's finished upgrading. It didn't really take that long, but whatever, just gonna clear the console. And to change the SSH port, what you want to do is sudo nano. There we go. And there's a line of code right here. Commented out port 22. You want to uncomment it and just put a random port. There we go. And while we're here, we're also gonna change permit root login to no. And then finally, it should be already set to no, but just make sure that the password authentication is no down there. We're done. Just do Control X, save, enter. It should be all good. Alright guys, as I was editing this video, I realized I lost the part where I tested whether or not I was going to be able to log into the root user after I turned it off in the file, in the config file. So I'm just going to do it really quick right now. One of my relays from my actual stake pool, I already deleted the droplet with the tutorial pool, so this is how we're going to have to do it. As you can see, we're trying to log in as the root user. Session open, and this is what you should see when you guys try if you turn it off correctly. Server refused public key signature despite accepting the key, and then no supported authentication methods available. Alright, so back to the video. Alright, now we're gonna update and enable the firewall. DigitalOcean by default doesn't have one enabled, but you could check doing sudo ufw status. It's inactive. The first port that you want to enable is the SSH port. So do sudo ufw allow proto TCP from any to any. If you have a static IP, you can replace the first any with that, but you have to make sure that it's static, or else if it changes, you're not going to be able to access this server again. And then for the port, for that stage, you're going to just set it to whatever you put it as when you change the SSHD config file. For me, it was 2517. And then you're also going to enable the port that this node is going to run on. I'm just going to use 6001. And finally, just enable the firewall. Then yes. Now that everything's set, you're just going to want to restart the SSH. Just check that it is running like it's supposed to be. As you see, it's running on that port. And finally, I just want to check that everything is working like it's supposed to. So I'm first going to make sure that I can't log in as the root user. By just trying to log on, having all the fields the same as it was before. And then one thing you want to make sure of, you changed the SSH port, so you're going to want to change the port here. So you're going to want to make it whatever you set it as, and then just save, and then open. Trust because it's a new port, and when you try to enter in the thing, it's not going to let you because you try to log in as a root when you disabled it. So that's working like it's supposed to. And then I'm just going to make sure that I can log on as the user that we created. Save that, open. And everything is good. Just one final sanity check on the firewall. And all the ports that we want to be open are open. Alright, and this is when we start using the guild operators CNTools documentation that I was talking about before. That's what I'll be using to copy and paste things. But the first thing is you need to do is install all the prerequisites for Cardano-Node, CNTools, Cardano CLI, and this is how you're going to do that. First, you're going to make a directory, a temp directory in the home. You're going to go into it, and then you're going to download a script from the guild operators. This pretty much just automates a lot of the downloading for you. It's actually really useful. The scripts that they have on that guild operator site pretty much makes everything automatic. Then after you change the permissions on the Prereqs file script, you're just going to want to run it. You don't need the -f there. It pretty much just force overrides all the files, but since there's nothing there, it doesn't really matter, but I just do it anyways. And then you can wait for it to finish running and downloading everything. And I will cut, because I think it doesn't take that long. I would say maybe like 5-10 minutes, but I don't want you to make you guys sit through that, so I will be right back. Alright, it's just finished downloading. I'm just going to clear all of this. And then finally, you're going to want to run this command. Everything should go off without a hitch. And I think I forgot to mention, but before we were using on the Prereqs page under basics of the guild operators site. And now we're going to go to use the commands from the node and CLI. Alright, the first one is you're going to want to go into a Git folder that was created during the scripts. And then you're going to want to clone in the Cardano-Node Git repository. And if you do ls, you should see that the Cardano-Node directory is there. You're going to want to go into it. Then you want to fetch all of the tags. Git pull, it's already up to date. And then you're going to run the git checkout command. Paste that in. On the site, it has it all like this. You could just do all of it at once. I like doing it one at a time, just in case if anything goes wrong, I can know exactly where it is and fix it. But finally, you're going to want to run the script that they downloaded, and this is going to take a while. I would say 2 to 3 hours. So I will cut and be back when this is finished downloading. Alright, so that only took like, I want to say about an hour. And now you just want to check that everything was downloaded correctly. To do that, you're going to download to a live version. Just check to make sure everything's alright. I think on the guild operators site, they'll tell you what version it's supposed to be. But as long as it's showing something and showing that the command is found, or yeah, the command is found, you should be good. And you want to do the same thing with our Cardano-Node. And everything is good. Alright, so we're going to clear this. And we're going to go to CNode home. And if you list all the directories and all the files, this is what it should show. But we're going to go into the scripts. And this is what it should look like. And the first thing that you want to do is nano into the environment. The default CNode port is 6000. For this one, I made mine 6001. So just set the port to whatever you enabled in the firewall, and you should be good. And then if you're doing your block producer environment, you also are going to need to uncomment out pool name and just write whatever name you're going to, or whatever name you're going to name your pool. But you don't need that for the relay. So Control X, save that. And you're good to start running the node. And you have two choices. You could run the command is where is it? cnode.sh. And you're gonna want to do that in a PHNIX. But I think the way that most people do it, the way that I do it, is to deploy it as systemd. And they made a script to make it a lot easier on you. So you're just gonna do that, put in your password. And if you're running your core node or your block producer, you want to put no here. But for the relay nodes, you're going to put yes. Just use the default. And you can check that. First, you want to start the C node. Then just check that it is running okay with sudo systemctl status cnode.service. As you see, it's active and running. And now you have to wait for it to sync, and this takes quite a long time. I want to say for it to completely sync, it's going to take around maybe like 12 hours. You could check where it is with the epoch using the sliveview script. I have to wait for this to be, I think it's 2:43 right now, the epoch that we're currently on, and then that's when it's synced. There's also the glive view, but that's let's try that again. This should be fixed, I think, when everything's synced up, and if it's not, I'll do some troubleshooting and see what's going on. But yeah, and while you're waiting for this, I would recommend making your block producer and your other relay at the same time, because those are going to take a while too. And I think while we're waiting for this node to sync, I'm gonna head over to the block producer that I've been creating simultaneously, and show how it differs a little bit in the setup. Something that I almost forgot to do, that I want to do really quick before we head over to the block producer, is configuring the topology updater for your relays. You don't need to do this for your producer because, like I said before, it's not going to be using the topology updater script. But what you want to do is do nano topologyUpdater.sh, and it should look something like this. And what you want to do is uncomment out custom peers. And what you want to put here is your block producer, the IP for your block producer, in the format that you can see right here, the IP, the port, and then there's an optional valency. And then you also want to do what's it called? You want to, there's a peer that you want to put in just by default. If you look in your topology file, you'll see it there, but I'll also have it in the text file. But after you enter everything in, it should be something like this. This is the peer I was talking about. It's a relays-new Cardano mainnet, all that. Port 3001 with a valency of 2. Then you also want to do the producer IP port, and if you have any backup producers, you'll put the IP there too. Just separate it with a line. And you can connect your relays together, but I wouldn't, because you want as much information going into your producer as possible, and you don't want your relays connecting to each other or to the same peers, because it'll lower the amount of total peers that you have. But yeah, after I'm gonna go configure this with my producer IP and all my information, and then I'll be right back. All right. Alright, so I just finished changing my custom peers line of my topology updater, and what you're going to want to do is just restart the C node so that all the changes can take place. Sudo systemctl start cnode.service, enter in password if you need to. And just going to check again that everything is running like it's supposed to be. Active running. And check the S live view. And as you can see, the epoch doesn't go back to 0. The syncing doesn't start over again. So you don't have to worry about restarting and having to wait the 12 hours again. Alright, and I guess now I'll actually be going to the block producer. Alright, so right now we're in the producer node, and all I did is follow the exact same steps all the way up to after downloading Cardano-Node and Cardano CLI. So I'm just going to check to make sure that they were properly downloaded using the version commands. And then what you want to do is head to the C node home. The terminal is just lagging a little bit for me. C node home. And instead of going to scripts, you're going to want to go into files. And then you're going to edit the topology.json file. You don't want your producer connecting to any other nodes besides for your relays. So that's why it doesn't use the topology updater, and that's why you also want to change this so that only your relays are there. So you add the IP address, the port, and then you're going to set the valency to 1. And if you had another relay, what you're going to want to do is just put a comma after this, and then you want to use spaces, line it up. And pretty much just do exactly the same as before, but there's going to be no comma at the end after you do the closing bracket right here. But I'm only doing one relay because this is just an example. You just want to save that, enter, and then go back 1 and go into the scripts directory. So just like with the relay, you're going to want to edit the environment file. Change the node port to whatever you want, really, as long as it's the same one that you enabled in the firewall. And then just set the pool name to whatever you're planning to name it later. Save that, and then run the node as system. Like I mentioned in the previous part, when I was starting the relay nodes, you want to put no for the core node so that it doesn't connect to any other peers. And then just gonna want to start and if you do sudo systemctl status cnode.service is to show that it is up and running. So yeah, pretty much all you need to do now is wait for all of your nodes to sync, and then I'll come back and show you guys what to do from there. Alright, so as you can see, we're on our producer node, and we are synced. The epoch's 243, which is the current epoch right now. So now I'm going to show you how to create and register a wallet. So what you want to do is go to launch the CNTools script. Enter in your password. And then to remove all this stuff, just press Q. And just press W. You can import in either a hardware wallet or a mnemonic wallet. But for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to create a new one. So you just want to enter in your wallet name, and it will give you an address. You don't really need to copy this. You can access this anytime by just pressing L. And pretty much all you have to do is send however much ADA you want to this address. The deposit for registering a pool is 500 ADA, and there's some fees, I'm pretty sure, but it's like a few ADA. I'll just like set aside 5 ADA for the fees just to be safe. So yeah, and the wallet should be automatically registered when you're registering your pool. And to do that, what you want to do is just press P, create a new pool, and name this tutorial pool. And then these are the pool IDs. You don't need to save these either. You can access them anytime. And finally, to register, just press R, go online mode, select the pool that you want, and you have to enter in your pledge. The more you can pledge, the better, but make sure that you can actually, you have enough ADA in your wallet for the pledge, because if you don't, your pool is not going to get any rewards. I'm not going to actually register a pool right now because I don't have any free ADA available, but I'm going to go as far as I can. So for the pledge, just put in however much you have. I'm just going to do 1,000 for example. Margin, this is pretty much like the fees, the percent of the rewards that your delegators are going to pay to you. I would say a good range is 2% to 5%. If you're trying to get more, I would recommend on the lower end if you're smaller to get more delegators, and then if you get more established with a higher pledge, you can go to the higher end of that. For now, I'm just gonna put 0 because I'm not actually doing this. I would just keep the cost at 340, and then you're gonna need a place to store your metadata. I recommend GitHub Pages. It's pretty easy. It's free. I'll actually show you where I have mine for my pool. So pretty much on GitHub, I just have mine in a PHNIX meta.json file and just all the metadata. And I'm not going to show you guys how to do this in this video. I might do it in a future video. for now, I'm just going to keep it as the default. Enter in your name, pool again, ticker. I would recommend going on ADA pools or pool tool and just trying to find a, a ticker that's unique. It's easier for people to find your pool. That way they don't actually have to copy and paste in your pool ID. They can just look up your ticker, and if you're the only one there, then that's great. I'm just use the default for now. Description, this isn't necessary, but it can give your potential delegators some information. Um, like if you're doing a promotion for like lower margin fees for a couple of months, or if you just want to give them some information about your pool, this is a good way to do it. And then a home page, if you have it. If you do a GitHub pages thing, you could create an index.html page and pretty much just have that page there, and you can put the URL for that here. And then extended metadata, this is pretty much going to hold like extra information, your social media sites and stuff like that. But for now, I'm just doing no. And what you want to do is take this information and put it into your metadata.json file on wherever you're hosting the site here. You're going to want it all in one line. Like I showed you before, I'll show you it again. Just have the name, the ticker, description, homepage, nonce. And if you were to have an extended JSON file, you would have another comma, extended, and then the URL. And then after that, you're going to enter, and then for the relays, press 4, and just paste in the IP address of your relay nodes. I'm going to get mine right now. I forgot to get it up, so sorry. So copy, paste, enter in your port. And then if you have more relays, you'd pretty much do it, redo this. So put no, and then you pretty much after this you choose your owner wallet and your pledge wallet. But I'm not registering a pool right now, so I'm just gonna skip that part. And then after you do all that, you're gonna want to encrypt your wallet because you want to keep all this information safe. So pretty much you're going to go to encrypt, choose the wallet, and you're going to want to enter in a password here. I recommend a really sophisticated password. Maybe do like a 24-word mnemonic like the other digital wallets do online. I would also maybe mix in, like, replace some of the words with numbers or special symbols. It just makes it a lot harder for an attacker to brute force. But since this is an example and I don't actually have any ADA in this wallet, I'm just gonna put in a short password. And then it's gonna encrypt. And then if you ever modify your pool, you're gonna need to decrypt your wallet first. So you just do decrypt, then you enter in the password again. Make sure you write down your password and don't lose it, obviously. But yeah, and then always make sure to re-encrypt your wallet whenever you decrypt it. And then if you wanted to like add more relays or modify your margin or modify your pledge, you're gonna have to go to your pool, press modify, and then I don't have any pools registered, but pretty much you would select it, and then it'll just go through the registration process again, but it won't take another 500 ADA. It'll just have like a small fee. Yeah, I think like I said before, it's pretty low, maybe less than 1 ADA. But just be wary that it's there. Just like I said, keep like a few ADA buffer just to be safe. And then yeah, that's pretty much it for creating your and registering your own stake pool. You could check to make sure that your stake pool is registered by going on using like Pool Tool or um, idiapools.org. I'll have the link to those down below. But pretty much you just either paste in your pool ID or just search up your ticker, and it should be up on there. You could also just go to pool list and make sure that it says yes, we're registered here. And then finally, another thing that you're going to want to do is to keep your cold keys off of the server. Eden Garden Pool has a great video for that. I'll list it down below. And pretty much any other questions that you have, he probably has answers to it on his YouTube channel. You could also ask them down in the comments below, and I'll try to do my best to help you out. Maybe create another video if I think it is something that everyone should know how to do. It is pretty important, but pretty much where those files are going to be is go to priv, go to your pool file. So pretty much you want to take these cold counter, cold keys out. I can actually show you how to do it. Really fast. If you already know how to do this, you could just skip this part. I'm not sure if I have anything else after this, but obviously if there's another timestamp, then just skip to that. But for now, I'm gonna set everything up for the transferring the cold keys, cold files, and I'll be right back. All right. Like I said before, we'll be using something called FileZilla to transfer the files. It's available on all platforms. You pretty much just want to click on the download, go through the installer, and open it up, and you should get something like this. I just went ahead and created a folder to hold all the files for this pool, and then just click on the I already have it pretty much set up for this, but I'm just going to delete this so I can re-show it to you guys. You want to go new folder, and then new site. And you want to change this to SSH, and then host. This is just the name of the IP of your producer node. Like I said before, you don't want to share this with anyone, but I didn't register this pool, so it's not that important if I show it to you guys. I just didn't show you guys before because I wanted to demonstrate some good practices. But like I said, it doesn't really matter for me. So I'm going to copy, just paste it in right here. And then for the port, you just put the port of whatever you made your SSH port. The default is 22. But if you changed it like I recommended, just put whatever you change it to. And then you're going to go key file, and then user, just the username that you created. And then you're going to enter in your private key right here. I'm not going to show that to you guys, but after that, you're going to press OK, and I'll cut right back when I do that. All right, after you press OK, it'll just look like this again, but if you go down here, you'll see the tutorial pool tutorial. You click on it, and then you're going to enter in your passphrase. I'm just going to enter that in right now. And it should connect, and you should see something like this. And then you're going to want to navigate to your pool folder. You want to click on this / and then go to opt Cardano, CNode, priv, pool, and then click on your pool. And this is what it's going to look like. And I would just copy all these folders over to your folder on your computer just to have as a backup. And then what you can do is select all your cold files, cold keys, and just delete them off of your server. You need your cold keys to modify your pool if you want to modify your pool. So if you were to modify your pool, you can just take it from your computer and just put it back in. But if you're not modifying your pool, I would not have it on your server. So yeah, that's how you transfer your cold files. Alright, before I end this video, something you guys should know, if you don't know already, is that your rewards you won't start seeing rewards until after 2 epochs, I think it is. So right now, I registered my pool just recently. It might be a little bit longer for me. It might take me a little bit longer to edit and post this video, but at the time that I'm making this, I registered it a few days ago. So I registered it in the epoch 243. So I won't be seeing rewards until epoch 245. And that's just something that you should keep in mind. It's the same thing if you're delegating to a stake pool. You won't be seeing the rewards until 2 epochs later. If you guys are still looking for a pool, like I mentioned in the beginning, my pool is PHNIX pool with the ticker PHNIX. The pool ID is going to be in the description. Yeah, we're offering a 0% margin until April, and then I'm going to change it to either somewhere between 1 and 2%, which is pretty good because, like I said, the average margin is between 2 and 5%. So yeah, and finally, before I end this video, another quick shout out to Eden Garden Pool. A lot of the information from this video is from his videos, just kind of updated and put into one. There's information from a few videos in mine, like his how to build a stake pool, his how to transfer files, and some from his stake pool security. And yeah, I would also highly recommend you watch both his stake pool security videos, because I kind of just showed you like the basics of what he says in there, but he goes a little bit more into depth, and you want to keep your stake pool as secure as possible. So yeah, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you guys next time.